All right, there we go. Cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, August 31st, end of the month here. Great to see Mark still with us. Great to see Quinn, one of our new members, enjoying his time in the Cyber Group room, especially the iceberg orders and the emojis on top of that. Great to see Henry and great to see all of us there. Voila, great to see all of us back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. So, folks, markets are slumping off right now, right? I mean, it's easy to say, but it could be a very good short opportunity, as it has been across the afternoon into the close. For right now, we have the GRNQ trade at least on the screen. There's a couple of cheapies that are still pushing up pretty nicely. On top of that, we'll talk about what's actually on the top of the gainers list here in a bit. Another crazy stock like HKD, if you recall that like a week or two ago. But GRNQ ended up making this huge squeeze up across the day, really from like 12 o'clock noon, ended up beginning to make a nice low volume squeeze and, really nice squeeze, but low volume we're not really a fan of. So it had to gain our trust. And with saying that, what I mean by that is really the re-break above resistance off of 2. Hey, if it's going to continue to show strength and test resistance and poke at that level, hey, there's a good chance to see continuation. So thankfully, right where my cursor is, that's where we ended up seeing that re-break and then the run up higher from there. So easy to say here. It's maintained strong all throughout the day up until right now. So easily I'll put this on our watch list here, the GRNQ stock. Now, we ended up trading this, I recall, like a little while ago, probably like a year ago at this point. Is my nope, there we go. I just gotta do weekly, I guess. There we go. So it threw me off because we ended up seeing the stock back last year make this big squeeze up. But what I think happened was it was like a reverse stock split or something after. So I don't think this really went up to 23, 24 bucks, but this made a really nice squeeze up at the time. It was up like 300% runner. So, if we could see the stock make a fraction of that 300% run that it made back then, God bless. That's, we'll take it. And that's exactly what we're seeing here for right now. To the point where you might ask, hey, what if it fails to even break higher from here? So be careful where it's at now, but it's still showing strength where, hey, if it holds here, makes higher lows and builds back up, perhaps by 315, 330, we could see this make a nice squeeze. Now, the NUWE stock, NUWE, I guess we'll kind of nickname it as, but, this ended up making a nice pop as well after the market opened. It really caught me off guard because I was expecting the drop and then a bit of a slower build and perhaps the squeeze up after. So I ended up focusing in on the Bed Bath Beyond trade at first. I also ended up focusing in on the Mob stock at first. At first, I should say. Ended up making a nice pop without me. I know a bunch of us inside the live trading room ended up jumping in, ended up getting 10, 15 cents at least. Hey, leaving money on the table for $1 stock like this, it's very common, right? You're not going to be able to get the perfect top. So with saying, hey, it broke right over 150 and continued. All right, well, when a stock breaks resistance like that and actually runs, perhaps resistance could create support. And that's what it's been doing really across this afternoon, a few different under and overs, as we like to call them. And with that, hey, it's like flat, but it's a lot closer to the high still. Maybe I'll come back to this NUWE trade at the end. NUWE. All right. We had a couple of others, which of course we'll get to in a bit. The Mob trade. We had ChargePoint CP or CHPT. We had ALLK, Hour. I mean, just a bunch of different stocks that popped up across our radars and ended up continuing for us. But I just want to show this to begin. The ATXG stock. All right. So you might look at this and ask, wow, I got to get in this thing. When's the next time I'm going to see a stock up 2,833%? Well, truth be told, actually, if you go to HKD, I mean, we ended up from here, but it's to say though otherwise, these are not swing trades, right? I mean, if you're trying to play lotto, be my guest. We're not playing lotto here, right? And I know 99% of us, at least inside the live trading room, know that. Not as much know that on social media that are not a part of CTU. So, it's easy to say holy smokes, ATXG, how do you trade this? You hope and pray. That's really it. You can't use level 3. I mean, it's halted right now, and it actually may have just reopened up right as we're looking at it. But, this thing is on such a big spread, and it has no volume out there. If our whole MO is to follow the big money, and there is no big money to follow, we move on. You know what I mean? There's better fish out there to catch, right? The Nui trade from today, the GRNQ trade today. And, we're not always, focused in on the cheapies, the stocks that are like below $10 or $5. But, a lot of these are across the gainer side. We'll go through a couple of these folks and recap them briefly. Hey, this is a relatively new IPO as well. Let me flip back to the daily chart here. But Mob from like a week ago ended up making a big pop, then drop. And it's like that MEGL stock and all these like recent IPOs that popped, dropped, and then we take the dead cat bounce. So Mob ended up making a nice squeeze from pre-market into the open, broke out from like 250, 260 area, topped off right around 360 itself. So, after the initial squeeze from the market open, volume died off. So did this. Ended up completely dying off right away. Just snipped back over 3 there briefly. But I feel like for the amount of volume this stock's traded today, I'm not fully sold on it just yet. So, we'll keep going. And if this thing holds strong or moves up better during this meeting, then I'll reconsider. Definitely. All right, now take a look at this MEGL. Now, it's funny because one of us was asking about MEGL earlier this morning, I think. And, at the time, it wasn't really trading any volume, right? No volume, and there was no news out on it. So I was mentioning exactly that to our new member, Edwin, at the time, saying, you don't want to get stuck holding on to, a trade that, made a former run and it's already dumped off at this point. So, hey, when the time comes, we'll look to follow up with it. We'll see if there's any strength to it, perhaps. I wasn't expecting this. All right, here we go. MEGL up 20%, got halted right here, right at 2:33 Eastern time. So, Edwin, your MEGL is back in play. There we go. Let's just check the news here. Going to check Benzinga Pro, see if there's any headline here for MEGL. Just says shares halted, news pending. News pending. There we go. Up 20.6%. So we'll find out what that news is coming up in a moment, folks. So stay tuned. All right. So MEGL, we'll see what comes of this trade here, but beautiful squeeze from like 575 all the way up towards 703. We keep it going. NMTC, a little pop earlier, died off. BNR. Looks like this one also ended up moving up earlier today. I don't think we had even called that out. Now, Fausto is all over this BHC trade. Geez, this thing ended up making one of the better moves across the entire morning. So, really, as soon as the market opened up, it didn't take long for this to really begin its run, but that's where we ended up finding this. It wasn't really, the best mover in pre-market. Started to show a little activity prior to the open, but relatively flat. So after the open, nice pop and trend and everything that you could ask for in a trend really ended up squeezing up from that 520 all the way up towards high of the day, 633. For right now, though, again, same to be said on this as we said on the others. Like, just not a whole lot happening there. It just died off at this point. All right, and another runner from earlier today, ALLK, and we ended up seeing this break above resistance from the chart here, roughly off of 490, 491. From there, smashed above 5. So when it breaks above resistance and runs like that, you should at least expect to see support hold the first time. Well, this is the first time right here. Fell right into this range of support. It did bounce, but the issue is, and the reason I bring this up is because I was showing this to one of my students on a coaching call live, and we were thinking about it at first, but you look at the trend that this thing was making off the highs. It's the definition of catching a falling knife. I mean off of these highs and afterwards, even just you can't really go against the trend like that, right? So go against the grain, really. So ended up making a bounce later on, but even from there, died off again. So, they're fun while they last, but, they're going to eventually die off, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of that. You don't want to be on the other side of the, on the downturn of the roller coaster, right? All right, a stock we are pretty familiar with here, B-Fly, at least off of news or whatnot, but, holding kind of strong here, right? High of the day off 632. It's currently at 624. I'll put this on our side list. I'll come back to this at the end, but it doesn't look bad. I mean, it needs a kick in volume, though. It's only trading about 3,000, a little bit more than 3,000 shares a minute, so got to do better than that. Couple of other former runners for us, and look how far they fell. HYMC now, like below $1, like 80 cents. Damn. But AVYA looking a lot better in terms of an intraday chart. Ended up running up across the late morning and obviously at the highs here. So this one we'll put on our main list. AVYA looks nice. Let me just get back to the main chat inside the trading room here briefly, folks. 1 second. There we go. All right, so from Mark, he says LQDA rocking. That's actually number 5 on the gainers list. So just jump up back. Wow, this thing, yeah, ended up getting halted same time pretty much as the MEGL, maybe a couple minutes after the fact. So now we're working off of 2 separate halts. Yeah, looks great. LQDA. Nice. And Leda says as well, the AXTG new IPO. Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to, we're not trading that really. If that goes up to 1,000, congrats to anyone that trades it. But me, I got better fish in the sea to catch. Snap was a great fish in the sea to catch initially. Ended up making a huge pop, of course, during Fausto's morning meeting. Ended up continuing afterwards, right? Ended up making a nice drop off, but from there ended up bouncing back up really strong from like 10.50. Pretty much made a dollar move up to 11.50, 11.60. At this point right now, I was looking for a short on this trade from 11. I got 6 or 7 cents on it. I looked for the re-entry as it re-broke under the VWAP, and it gave me a little bit, but ended up getting stopped out break even. Hasn't gone really much of anywhere since. It's slumping off a tiny amount, but if you're looking for a short with the market, I feel like just from the morning pop, you want to see the drop off, but it hasn't really made that move yet. So I don't want to hold my breath any longer than I have been on this trade. So let's see if there's anything that's looking better. Probably on the loser side at this point, folks. Just finishing up the gainers list here for right now. I got to move my office phone right there. Perfect. That's pretty much it. Maybe GERN, familiar name from like years past, but not really doing a whole lot right there. That's all right. Let's hop over to the losers list right now, folks. Just take a look at the chat board one last time as we wrap up. But here we got a few stocks that are down, shortable. AMBA ended up dropping off quite a bit from the market open, it seems, or perhaps even late morning. Yeah, I mean, across the whole day, really. This is exactly where you would want to see a stock at this point, either at the highs on the way up or at the lows on the way down. But not only is it expensive, but just really thin liquidity. If this had a penny spread, if this was like a order book like we normally trade, I would put this on the top of our list. But it's the order book more than anything that's driving me away from that AMBA. We don't need to trade that right now. JZ, order book more filled in, ended up making a big pop when the market opened up, but ended up taking a huge hit after, of course. Volume died off. So the stock. Mark was calling out BIG earlier just as a short. So, hey, it's hard to borrow on my platform, but if it's easy to borrow on yours, whether it's Thinkorswim or Interactive Brokers or what name you, it's definitely a good trade. It's trading a little bit more volume per minute compared to a couple of the others that we've been looking at. Definitely want to see a little bit more come in from this point, but nice downtrend at the lows, breaking multi-day lows, at least from the end of last week into this week. So, yeah, I like this trade. Mark, good call. All right, I got to get sponsored here by Zephyr Hills. All right, let's see what else we got here on the loser side right now, folks. It's the I think Walmart brand filtered water. All right, what else we got? We got TAL. Well, for as much as it's pumped up from early this week and from end of last, ended up taking a huge hit with the market this morning. So a little bit of a short this morning on TAL. HPQ, Hewlett Packard, ended up dropping off earlier today, but you know what? Actually, it looks pretty interesting. Should it look to snap down sooner than later here? It's pretty darn close to the low of the day here, so I don't mind putting this on our main list. HPQ. Let's see that make the lower high from right around this 28.90-ish. A bit of an order sitting here at 91. I just saw him about 9,100 shares a moment ago. I'm going to keep my eye on this guy here, but we'll see if it makes the lower high and then the snap back down to break new lows later on here for HPQ. Bobby J, BBBY, ended up making a wacky move today. Higher lows, good move up, but ended up flattening out after. One of my students, Ray, killed it on this trade. He was in from 850 in pre-market, and based off the bounce he initially had, he said, all right, I got some cushion room here. At least I could hold into this for a little bit, and if it drops off, then I'll just make a little bit less money on the trade. That's all right. He was in he was in the clear right away, and we ended up following this and coaching all the way up towards 990. There were two separate iceberg orders out here on this trade at 10 and at 990. So it created a range of resistance. We got out pretty much right in between there, right at like 991 or so. So nice catch from Ray. Now, for this point right now on the trade, the Bobby J, it's just flat. Not a whole lot happening right now. So pass on that here. Probably keep it in mind tomorrow morning, right? MSTR ended up making a nice drop, so perhaps Bitcoin could be pulling back with the market, and perhaps Coinbase could be taking a hit. Not as much. All right, well, MSTR MicroStrategy, famously known for buying and holding Bitcoin over the last bull market, and they're still holding on. I think it may have gotten even liquidated, if I'm not mistaken, when it bottomed out there. Mara, not a whole lot happening on that. All right, I thought it could have been crypto related, but might just be MicroStrategy there. Too expensive for us anyway there. Andre says, hey, Josh, no mention of Bed Bath Beyond. So that may have been before I covered it right there, perhaps. I just ran right through it briefly, but, ended up making a nice move from the morning. Chuck saying TGL. Let's take a look. Nah, I don't know where you're getting this one from, Chuck. You've been making a couple interesting calls today, but nonetheless, though, TGL is not trading any good volume here for us right now. MEGL open, all right, looks interesting. Bill says tax issues for Michael Saylor there, the CEO of MicroStrategy. Mark says CLAR dropping, nice. Has been. You're right. And this is one that you and I have been talking about in coaching. You brought up to me, and yeah, this thing's been dropping off quite a bit. Just broke below $15 as we were talking about through private chat earlier, Mark. Yeah, I mean, hey, if you could short it, CLAR looks very tradable if you're able to short it. If you're not able to short it, there's other stocks out there. But this is a good call again from Mark here. Mark's been having a keen eye on some good shorts as well, so I've been following his call outs here in the chat. All right, folks, what else we got? Anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5%? I'm going to look at Benzinga Pro briefly here. GRNQ still flying. MEGL up. We covered those already. We got NUI on the side list. There's something about this I'm going to put on our main list again here, the NUWE. And what I mean by that is it's holding here, so we'll give it a chance. Hasn't tanked yet, so why not? Doesn't hurt us to put this on our list at this stage. But this thing ended up making a huge drop, not just from last year. This thing had to have been reverse split over and over and over, because I'm sure back in 2018 this was not like a $550 stock. Actually, how about this? For some of our longtime students inside our trading room, I see Leda in here. I see Grant in here. What was that shipping stock? What were the shipping stocks? One of them, we can't really look at the chart because they even got delisted at this point, but what are the shipping stocks that we traded famously back in 2015, 2014 even? And Ron W., one of our longtime students as well, saying Drys, DRYS, and the other one was Tops. And you look at Top's weekly chart, it's pretty similar, pretty interesting, right? So it's because these stocks get reverse split over and over and over again. Does that mean that it's going to definitively run? No, you don't want to get stuck watching the stock every day waiting for the move. It's like, the meme stocks. You're going to get stuck watching just bad trades, hoping for another meme run with like AMC and GameStop. But with NUI here up, it's already up 144%. You might think, how much more does it have to go? Well, it hasn't tanked yet, has it? And we know where resistance is. If you're inside our live trading room, I've been clamoring all about it across the early parts of the afternoon here. So that's where I'm going to say, if you're on social media right now, I'm not going to say where that resistance is. If you want to know where that resistance is, go right down to the link on the yellow banner below, sign up for our trial, and join us right there. But you know where to find resistance right there. Just look up inside the chat board, folks. I was calling it all out before. Grant says Drys and Tops, absolutely. And Diana shipping too. What was that, DCIX or something? Don't ask how I remember that. I have no life. All right, folks, if there's anything else, let me know. We're going to wrap up here otherwise. I got one more, actually. Let's see. It popped up on my end here. Let's see what it looks like. I don't know. Yeah, doesn't look too great. The hour stock looks like it bottomed out briefly here, squeaking up a tiny amount, but the order book is too thin. Not a fan of this here. Lita says, those were the days, my friends, when life was simpler. Right? All right, folks, with that, we're going to wrap up. For all of us on social media, if you wanted to continue the audio commentary with Rich, just go right down to the link on the yellow banner below, like I'd said. Otherwise, though, I'm going to refill up my water bottle here. If you wanted to send over any questions, any emails over to myself, send it right over to josh@c2trading.com. But otherwise, for all of us inside the live trading room, Lita, Robert, and Andre, and Evelyn, and Andre, and Grant, and all of us just there, I'll be back right at 3:30 inside the chat board at least. I know that Rich will be on the mic from 3 to 4. Talk to you soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it.